Hey guys, it's Mike here at Deconstructing the Game, and today we're going to go through 20 of the first debug options in the Debug new game. If you're not sure how to access the debug menu, go on to the link above and I'll show you how to download the relevant mods and access the debug menu. The menu for debug is quite straightforward. It just has a list of all the different categories of games and then the number of that mission where it spawns you in. There's epilogues, there's minor quests, there's story missions, there's all sorts of things. It's quite a lot to get through, and there's also some streaming tests as well. So I'm gonna skip the first two quests because unfortunately they are just completely blank and they fail to load. So straight off the bat, those fail to work. But if you have the debug menu, give it a try because it could be a hardware issue, and if you have a better PC than me, it might actually load. So the first thing we're going to look at is number 1 of the prologue, and surprise surprise, we end up spawning in a random box in the middle of nowhere. No idea why this box is here, but using the free fly mod, which you are going to need if you want to explore a lot of these areas, we were able to actually see that it was just a random box in the middle of nowhere, and the city's there, everything's there, but unfortunately there's no real reason for this here. I wonder if it's like the box where you actually see your character in the character creation menu, possibly. And the second one is the tutorials. Now the tutorials are actually spawned in every single debug, so you don't necessarily have to select number 2. There's actually a lot of these tutorials in the debug anyway, so using the free fly mod, all you have to do is fly under Arasaka Tower, and there's this big gigantic box which all the levels for the tutorials exist. You can fly across to different versions of them using free fly, and it essentially is just like the stealth mission, the assault mission, everything that you get taught from Debug at the very beginning is all here, and there's not really much use for it. You can just kind of walk around and explore and see if there's anything you want to check out, like for photo mode or anything like that. But that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to see here. There are different variations of this, which we'll get to in a minute, where there's different characters, there's different versions of the tutorials, but pretty much floating around in a box underground is your tutorials, and they're always going to be there no matter what debug you access. The third one is just you being dropped into Yucca or Yucca, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And there's nothing here again, there's no NPCs, there's no missions active, but what the really weird thing is that your camera is kind of stuck inside your head, so you will see eyeballs, teeth and hair quite a lot, so don't recommend loading this one too much. We're going to skip on to number 6 because number 4 is a black screen, and number 5 is just another corpo training area where you are with Debug. Number 6 is actually the scene where the European Space Council get assassinated, and this is how it's filmed. It's actually underneath Jenkins' office, which I found rather amusing. And you can select different camera angles and view different points of that video feed. And number 3 is always the assassination. Moving on forward to number 7, you have the Arasaka lobby, and the doors are locked. There's nothing to see down here at all, but you can bump into Elon Musk's cameo, who is usually at the very start of your corpo game as you're chucking up in the sink. Moving on to option number 8, you'll be in Jenkins' office at the top of Arasaka Tower, where you'll actually witness the space assassination taking place, but Jenkins is nowhere to be seen, and after the assassination scene takes place, his chair rotates around as if someone's in it, which I thought was kind of creepy. But you can go through most of the mission up until the AV, and then the game crashes. Much like most of the debug options, when you get to a certain point, you'll either get stuck or the game will just fail to load any further. This scene here is you getting stuck at the Arasaka toilets, and there's no reflection, but you can't move anywhere unless you use the free fly mod. Jumping ahead to number 11, you'll be greeted with the border crossing with you and Jackie, and there's a couple options to activate the new vehicle commands. Don't ask me what that means because I've tested them both out, and to me there is absolutely no difference whatsoever, so I'm not sure if this is like dialogue options for commands or some kind of vehicle commands with your controller. No idea, but once the scene is complete, you'll end up shaking hands with Jackie, and then the game ends there. Option number 13 is you spawning into the training grounds once again, and you'll see a really weird Frankenstein avatar of you amalgamated with a Miltech avatar as well, but there's a few instances of this in the training areas as well. One thing to note is that a lot of the training areas, when you spawn into this location, you're actually outside floating under the map, so you're going to have to use free fly again to get in here. Some of them you will spawn into these areas, but other times you're just floating outside under the map. In this particular one, you can actually move forward into the first gig, but after you enter the elevator with Jackie, there's nowhere further to go, nothing else loads in. You can open them up with AMM and use free fly to glitch in and out, but the weird thing is Jackie disappears, and until you glitch back into the elevator, he returns. So it's really strange. I don't know what's going on here. I think maybe there's some like loading issues or memory management going on that they were testing. You can check out the old lady's apartment as well, nothing much in here, and then you can move forward into where Sandra Dorset was kidnapped. But again, the mission doesn't start, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of an empty test bed for the script. The next one is the training zone again, but this time your training blocks are all available. You can actually get into them and use them as required. And the funny thing is that Johnny Silverhand is actually your enemy. So if you ever get frustrated with Johnny and you want to kill him or blow him up, this is the training episode for you, and it's number 14. Number 15, you start off with Jackie inside the vehicle, but if you choose to activate the training mode, Johnny Silverhand is your mentor up until Debug takes over, and you can access the first 2 tutorials, but the stealth tutorial glitches out, so you have to reload. And then if you continue on with the first gig, you can go all the way to the very end, but unfortunately the scavs don't actually shoot you, so that might be a scripting error in the debug. But it is quite amusing because pretty much everything's super easy, and there's instances of your gun deleting as well, and you're pretty much just pointing your finger at the scavs as you shoot them. Skipping ahead to number 19 because the other 3 do not work, we're basically in the garage section of V's mega building where Jackie drops us off. You can explore the building, there's no NPCs anywhere, there's basically nothing to do, no mission markers, and it's just an empty open world city. And then number 20 in the debug is you starting off at the Watson roadblock just after Jackie speaks to the cop. But there's no cops, there's no animations for the vehicles moving out of the way, it's just you driving with Jackie, and then you end up being dropped off at your apartment once more, and then once you go to bed, nothing loads after that. So there we have it guys, that is the first 20 so missions in the prologue for Cyberpunk, and there's a few duplicates and a few that don't work, so there's no point in me showing you those, but the next half is going to take us right up to number 47, and then we're going to do the story missions in the next episode as well. So if you enjoyed this, check out the videos in the channel, and stay tuned for more debug menu stuff and games in the future. My name's Mike, you've been watching Deconstructing the Game, and as always, I'll catch you later.